What's up guys, this is Ryan from Tower Reviews and this is my review of the iPhone 6s. So this is the iPhone 6s, and with every S model iPhone to this point, it's pretty much a clone of its predecessor, at least aesthetically. Beneath the surface of the design, there are actually a number of significant changes, namely the materials Apple chose to build the iPhone out of. All new iPhones are now built out of 7000 series aluminum, which is an alloy that is significantly stronger and more scratch resistant than the previous blend. This is aerospace grade stuff. The cover glass is also a little bit higher quality than the previous version. Apple says it is made using a special dual ion exchange process that makes it stronger at the molecular level. From a dimension standpoint, the new iPhone is slightly thicker than its predecessor and it weighs about half an ounce more, but we'll come back to this in a little bit. The big new feature on iPhones this year, think Siri on the iPhone 4S or Touch ID on the 5S, is 3D Touch on the 6S. This gives you access to the Z dimension of your touchscreen. And it provides a whole new way to interact with your phone's user interface and apps that you might want to use. You can use it to access app shortcuts, press the gas pedal down in racing games, or use the keyboard as a trackpad, along with a whole slew of other options. 3D Touch is definitely a cool new feature, but still isn't something I use every day. It's still something I need to consciously think about before I use it, suggesting it hasn't been integrated into the OS enough to be used regularly, but I think this will change in the future as third-party developers start using it more in their apps. The cameras on the iPhone 6s saw arguably the biggest iPhone camera upgrade to date. The front-facing camera has been bumped from 1.2 megapixels on the iPhone 6 to 5 megapixels on the 6s, with 720p video capabilities. The Retina flash, which uses the display as a flash, improves low-light selfie quality. The rear-facing eyesight camera also saw major and much-needed improvements. The sensor got a 4-megapixel bump from 8 megapixels to 12 megapixels, with panoramas up to 63 megapixels. Unfortunately, there is still no optical image stabilization on the 6S, but at least we got full 4K video at 3840 by 2460 resolution at 30 frames per second, so that's pretty awesome. Photos and videos are super crisp and are unlikely to disappoint even the most particular camera nerds. Overall, I think the camera on the 6S is the most compelling reason to upgrade. In terms of performance, the iPhone 6s is a quick phone to say the least. It can handle graphic-intensive games, 4K video editing and rendering, and pretty much whatever else you throw at it with ease. Powering the phone is an Apple A9 dual-core 1.84 GHz processor with a 6-core GPU and 2 GB of RAM. While this is a giant leap from the iPhone 6, you're not going to see that in everyday use, at least not yet. Still, that doesn't change the fact that the iPhone 6s is a beast in the performance department, and it's definitely a reason to upgrade if you are a person that uses your phone for graphic or central processing unit intensive tasks. The Wi-Fi and LTE connectivity within the iPhone 6s has seen massive improvements, with speeds up to twice as fast as the iPhone 6s due to the addition of additional LTE bands. I've noticed slight improvements on both Wi-Fi and LTE, especially in range on Wi-Fi. In certain spots in my house, I used to get no signal at all on my iPhone 6, but now I'm able to see significant improvements with the 6s. And the same holds true with LTE. I've noticed much faster speeds in spots that used to be somewhat of dead zones. The battery on the iPhone 6s is one of the more interesting aspects of the phone because the battery has actually seen a size decrease from the iPhone 6 by about 100 milliamp hours from 1810 to 1715 milliamp hours. And I find this so odd because it seems to me that battery life is the number one complaint amongst iPhone users. Yet they decreased the capacity, and on top of that, they made the phone thicker, which is so unlike Apple. They're always trying to make the phones thinner. This year they made it thicker, and they shrunk down the battery. I'll never really understand their decisions, but I'm just hoping that the battery will be better in the iPhone 7. And I was wondering if anyone out there that's listening to this had experienced decreased battery life with their iPhone 6s. But with all that being said, in my daily usage, I haven't noticed much of a difference in battery life. I still get about the same as what I got on the 6, so maybe it's not as big of a deal as I'm making it out to be. I'm just trying to figure out their logic behind it. And finally, one of my favorite new features on the iPhone 6s, and probably my number one reason to upgrade, and that is the improved Touch ID sensor on the iPhone 6s. But all jokes aside, seriously, I had a terrible time with the Touch ID sensor on the iPhone 6. It only worked about 50% of the time, and when it did, it was painfully slow. This is no longer the case with the iPhone 6s. The Touch ID sensor works really well. It's really fast, and it works almost all the time. Some of the time it's almost too fast. I just go to check the time on my iPhone, and the Touch ID logs me in, which is kind of annoying, but it's really good for when you're actually trying to use the Touch ID along with Apple Pay or whatever you're using it for. But yeah, guys, that's it for my review of the iPhone 6s. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. Thank you for watching.